It's recording, just so that everybody knows. So good evening. Welcome to the two candidates for parent representative to our Board of Trustees, and welcome to all the other people who are interested in hearing what the two ladies have to say. The rules for tonight are that we will ask 6 questions. Everybody is answering the 6 questions. The 6 questions were provided to the candidates ahead of time so that they had a chance to prepare. And we're switching back and forth. So one candidate gets the first questions first, and then the next candidate gets the second question first, and back and forth. And then each candidate has 3 minutes to respond to each question. And okay, let me quickly interrupt here. Mr. Khan needs the Zoom link sent. How do I do this? Let me see. I did not expect that. Copy invitation. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. And then, so a 3-minute time limit, and after 2.5, I'll just wave so that you know that it's about 30 seconds left. And then I'll say 3 minutes is over when the time is passed. Are you ready to start?
Let's do it.
So I did the first question starting with Christine, since her last name is first in the alphabet. So I tried to find a way of making this fair. So I thought alphabetical is a good way of structuring this. So, okay. Let me see my timer here. Okay, so the first question for Christine. What is your motivation to run for the parent board representative position, and what are your qualifications?
Perfect. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Becky, and hello, Denise. It's good to see you. As a parent of Goethe, like I'm deeply motivated to serve as a parent board rep because I'm very passionate about like ensuring my children, our children, like not only thrive academically, but also like grow as a multilingual and well-rounded individuals. And I believe strongly in the mission, in the vision of Goethe, and I want to contribute meaningfully to continue the success. And over the past 1.5 or 2 years that I've been having my kids there, I've been on campus and I've been involved, I wouldn't say heavily, but involved with the teachers, with the parents, with the students. And my passion grew and fostered tremendously. And the love of collaboration that I have, I do want to strengthen that and between the families and the school leadership, and to ensure like really the foundation is set for our kids' future, and ensure like long-term success. As for professionally, I serve as a district manager for Starbucks, where I lead 12 locations, 12 stores, including their teams, and I develop leaders at all levels. My role really involves like around like strategic planning, financial oversighting, P&L, read and analysis, talent development, retention percentage that includes percentage rate that around diverse team, effective culture, collaboration, and communication with both partners and customers to strengthen the community that we serve in. Along with skills, these are some of the skills that aligns with an effective board service. And I'm particularly passionate about like creating the inclusive and diverse environments that I would like to use this experience to support being a board rep. And I want the parents' voice to be heard. So I would love to play a meaningful role in shaping, again, the future for our school and our kids.
Thank you. Then to you, Denise, should I read the question again, or do you all remember?
No, I remember the question.
Okay. Okay. Go
Good
ahead.
evening, everybody. Thank you, Biggie, for hosting. Thank you for having us. I will go back a little bit. I wanted to start with the motivation to start volunteering in the first place, because it's been a while. I've been at Goethe for 6 years now, going into the 7th year. I have 2 kids, one going into middle school, one in 4th, and aspiring TKer next year. So I have a vested interest in the future of the school. And I've been around a little bit and seen a few things. The reason why I started volunteering in the first place is because I know firsthand from my own experience what big impact a good education and good educator, a good principal and teachers can have on the development of a child and on their life. And when I saw the opportunity to be a part of shaping that journey for my kids, that's when I took that opportunity and really got involved. Over the years, it's kind of evolved because now it's not just about the kids anymore. It became about the community that I found. We have such an international community and from all walks of life, really. And being away from home really makes you look for that community, makes you want to find your people. And I found that in Goethe. And ever since then, I really wanted to share that sense of belonging with whoever came my way. I spent the last 2 years really trying to be including and welcoming to everybody and share that passion with everybody. And I've had so many conversations over those years with people that felt the same. I think our community is one of our strongest points, and it is what I'm most passionate about. So here's where my motivation kind of blends with my qualifications, because I don't want to even speak so much about my qualifications on my resume. It's all there. It's there for everybody to see. I have a background in international business. I have over a decade of experience in partnership relation management, program development, and negotiating contracts. I'm very capable of reading financial statements, making analytical and strategic decisions, and everybody that knows me knows that I have a pretty level head on my shoulders. But I think what really supports me or would support me in the role on the board would be my knowledge of the community and the voices that I've heard, because I wouldn't just speak for myself. I have a really good grasp on the big picture, and it's a very pivotal time in the history of Goethe, and the choices that we make right now really determines the course where the direction we're gonna head over the next few years. And I'm really excited for the future of Goethe, but at the same time, I would really like to see some of our cornerstones and the heart and the core values preserved. That's my motivation.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Khan, do you want to take the second question?
Sure, I can do that. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining. Thank you to our candidates, Denise and Christine. All right, question number 2. As a board member, how would you support the recruitment and retention of quality staff? How would you support the efforts to close the achievement gap? And this is for Denise.
So this is an interesting question because it's 2 parts. Also, there's a lot to be said about how to recruit and retain quality teachers and staff, but the question is how I would support it on the board. And that's a little bit different. So I will start. So I think Goethe does a really good job in finding good and quality teachers and staff. Our staff is amazing. Our teachers are dedicated. And so I would like to focus a little bit more on the retention part. For me, retaining quality teachers is about 2 components. It's about a competitive pay and it's about a positive work culture. And I know that we've been already identified the need to pay our teachers what they are worth. So I know there are first steps in the works, and as a board member, I would only suggest that we really prioritize that, because I know it's dear to the parents' heart as well to see that happen, and just allow for that to continue. As far as the work culture goes, there are a lot of things that can help with retaining good teachers. It starts with alleviating stressors or frustrations, clear communication, and streamlined onboarding processes and protocols, or the opportunity for professional development and personal development. But it also goes as far as just making them feel valued and appreciated and trusted. And I don't know how much the board can do on that aspect other than lead by example. I think work culture trickles down from the top to the bottom, and treating people respectful is always something that shows down the road. Achievement gap, very different topic, but I'll try to make the leap from one to the other. I've always thought that is something that Goethe really excels in. And I don't know how it applies within our school community, because the achievement gap is really, if you talk about the access to a quality education, all our students have access to that same quality education. So I want to focus a little bit on the students within our community that might need special support or extra support. And we have a lot of pieces in place. We are already a very cultural, competent, promoting environment. We are already very low bias based on our international community. So we have a big opportunity coming up with our new TKers coming in earlier. Early education is a big factor in closing that achievement gap. Also, our English learners, I think we have to focus a little bit more on supporting those, especially in an immersion program setting, that they have that support that they need. It's changed over the years that this is becoming increasingly a topic.
3 minutes.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, Christine, your turn. Would you like me to read the question?
No, all good. Thank you. And I do appreciate Denise's perspective and agree. And I really do agree on like everything you said. So I don't want to sound the same. But supporting the staff and student is crucial. I do want to build on that. So like as a district manager for Starbucks, like recruiting, developing, and retaining like high quality talent is literally the core part of my role. So the philosophy, or my philosophy, I would say, is that people stay where they feel seen, supported, and empowered, and they have growth. And that translates directly to the environment that we create for them, whether in school or any organization that they work for. So I would support recruitment and retention like that by advocating for competitive pay, which is PIR, like the percentage in range, like taking a look at Goethe's like strategic plan and ensuring like salaries and benefits reflect the value of our educators. I would also push for like professional development programs that helps them understand that there is more to it than what they're currently doing. And then it will reduce the burnout. So creating a collaborative culture among the staff and continue to allow them to feel seen, heard, and valued through regular feedback loop is going to really help us retain their talents. As far as closing the achievement gap, I would focus on also the strategic plan that emphasizes on like data-driven interventions. Like at Starbucks, we focus on removing barriers to drive success for both customers and partners. And I would love to bring the same lens to drive, success for both our school and emerge that within the families that we have. So, for example, iReady, right? iReady has a dashboard to identify struggling students, like our, low SEAs or students, learners. And then I think we need to target the students that may need the extra support, whether, offer like an after school tutoring. I'm not sure if that's already in place or not, but an early math interventions, like we'll ensure like the success rate and engaging the families throughout the outreach program will straighten that and helping students like thrive in meeting the plans to hit the 80% according to the plan that I read, which hopefully will meet the CASP standards by 2027. So it's the data driven that it's going to help us understand where we can close that gap.
Okay, thank you. Biggie?
Hey, question number 3, and this is for Christine first. As a board member, how would you foster transparency among board member interactions and how the board relays information to the community?
Thank you. Again, I'm just going to refer back to my current role that's helping me understand this better. So as a district manager, like I've learned transparency builds trust, and trust is foundational to any high functioning team or organization. So as a board member, like fostering transparency is like by encouraging like open communication, clear documentations of the board decisions, and a timely follow-up on any actionable items that we decide to take. And then this is aligned with like the Goethe's commitments.
Pop up on the thing, dude.
I'm sorry. Okay. That wasn't for me, right?
That was somebody went off.
Awesome. Okay. So I would really advocate for like a frequent touch points with families, whether it's like through the newsletter, which is Berkeley have been phenomenal at, putting things together in a format that is very readable for all families, and or doing like a quick connects with the families through surveys, whether the platform that we use for surveys or a different approach that we can take. But the goal is how to keep families informed with the confidence of which direction the school is taking. So they need to be looped in. One example, honestly, that comes to mind, and Biggie, you have a big role that played in that decision, is the food lunch program that you brought in recently. That I did not realize how much it costs to provide lunch for our kids, and how much food we're wasting. So one of the things that comes to mind is like we could save money by reducing the waste of doing simple things as educating families with the waistline and how we can educate the kids better, or creating a better system on how we track students who actually plan to take lunch versus, putting them through the cafeteria lines. I remember also when I was an LAUSD student, my school simply had two systems. Either you pre-order your lunch at the beginning while you're taking attendance, or your parents will buy you tickets. And I think that had implemented in me how important food is and how to not waste food, and also the labor that goes behind it. So bring in small pieces of these systems with transparency to the parents. It will make a difference in our schools.
Okay, Denise, do you need the question again, or do you have it in front of you?
No, I got it. This question really goes hand in hand with the next one, and I might mix it up a little bit, but transparency has been a big topic over the last few years with the board. We always ask for transparency, for a little bit more communication, and I learned that it's very intentional that there's very little communication from the board. I feel that's okay, as long as there is an executive director and a strong team in place, which is there now. So there are very few moments when really clear communication, specifically from the board, is needed. I feel there is a need in transitioning times, which we've seen because there was a lack of communication and there was a lack of transparency in that time. And I feel in those moments, the board needs to jump into action a little faster and start communicating with our community. There are, however, ways that they could communicate, which I believe is just by being more visible and approachable. I feel a lot of parents in our community don't even know that there is a board or what their role is, especially not how they are invested in our school, if they are equally committed to our school, and what their passion is, what their interest is. So when our board members visited the campus the other day, I really appreciated it, that's what they said. This is why I care. This is why I care about education. This is why I'm still here. And I feel a little bit more of that would help our community understand that we're all on the same page and working towards the same goals. The other thing is, I think board meetings are open to the public, but it's not always clear to our community that they are. I feel there could be just the emails could be a little bit more inviting. Our board members could have their bio. They do have a short bio on the website, but no pictures, no contacts. It's a very anonymous group of people to most of us, or to most parents. And then when it comes to communication, helping communicate the school, I think there are topics that could come from the board. I feel when we talk about the general political climate or the charter climate or bigger things that go beyond the day-to-day school, I feel the board could be more involved in that kind of communication and be transparent that way, and support the school communication.
Okay, thank you. Next question. And we're going to start with Denise. How do you see the role of the Board of Trustees regarding the day-to-day operations of the school?
Yeah, that goes right hand in hand with the last question about the communication and transparency. I know that there has been a shift within our board, and that historically in the last few years they've kind of taken an approach about staying out of the day-to-day operations. I said it before, we have a strong leadership team, so the board should really kind of take a background role and be supporting or challenging of decisions. I think the board is there for accountability, for some guidance when it comes to long-term strategic decisions. I know the board focuses more on the mid and long-term strategic goals of the school. I think one of the big tasks for the board should be to balance our future growth and how we invest in that future and expansion with the needs of our community today. One of the things that I'm very passionate about is to make sure that our community understands that everything we do for the future, if it's investing, fundraising, setting money aside, back to transparency, I feel our community should know how that benefits them today, their students today, and not just where we want to be. So our board has a duty in a sense to stay in touch and have a finger on the pulse a little bit. And this is where I would come into play if you would give me your vote, is to bring that parent perspective to the board. I feel that's something that's oftentimes overlooked, but of so much impact, because the parents do care about certain things that are not necessarily transparent to the board looking at finance statements and statistics.
Thank you. Christine?
Yeah, Denise made a great point about the board's role, and I do agree. We should focus on the oversight rather than the day-to-day management. And I see the board of trustees as the big picture team that guides the school, not the ones that do the daily show. I know the charter says the board sets policies and oversees things like the budget and the school goals, and kind of allows the educators or the teachers or the staff to do the day-to-day task. So I think the board's job is to really support the school by making smart decisions from a distance. And it kind of, again, back to the district manager role, you're leading from afar, but you're also building a strategy that's going to enhance the business 6 months down the road, not necessarily 6 days down the road. So again, for example, another example that comes to mind is we would approve the budget to ensure there's money to to bring on a school nurse, which I would love to push for to keep our kids safe. I don't know how many times it would have made a difference for having a nurse there to see my son during an injury here and there, versus a parent being called. And that's the worst call that you want to have, is when you get called by the school. It's nerve-wracking in my opinion. But then also some other areas that need support, I would ask questions, honestly, are our kids hitting our learning goals? Do the teachers have the equipments and the technology that they need? And then if we're on track, I would also just want to hear from parents. So what are the parents have to say, and what's their perspective? And maybe through a suggestion box, we'll be able to hear different voices and how to take that and utilize it on the board into bigger decision, bigger impact that's going to support us have a vision for 3 to 5 years out. So my goal is to really build that bridge between the board members, knowingly, not everyone is boots on the ground, and the parents, not necessarily the ones that I see daily, but the ones that are actually not there every day. So that ultimately is how I would like to partner up with the board.
Thank you.
Okay, this next question has two parts to it. So the 3 minutes might be very short, so you need to be fast in answering. And it's about the two big documents, one strategic plan and one the school's charter. So I'll read the two questions, and I'm glad you have them in front of you. Have you read the school's strategic plan, and how do you propose Goethe keeps moving in the direction of fulfilling that plan? How do you propose the school moves forward with developing the next 5-year strategic plan? And then the second part is, have you read the school's charter, and how do you propose Goethe approaches charter renewal? And it's first for Christine.
Kind of wanted Denise to answer that first, but I got you. So yes, I have read the strategic plan for Goethe, and I really do continue to have big admire how Goethe really does put our kids' success first, with goals like learning and new home for the school, eventually growing our community and keeping our finances like very strong, all while keeping like the IB and the multilingual vision. Is what I love about and what's keeping me commuting from Encino to Goethe. As a parent, I want to keep us on track. I would love to focus on a couple key things that came to mind as I was reading the strategic plan. Is the after school programs. Again, I'm speaking from a place where I'm not sure if it's already implemented, but more parent teacher teamwork, like which I have seen make a difference, like at home, like, and then for facilities, like I would push for like a stable spot, like exploring long-term lease. Eventually, I do want to see my kids go into high school with Goethe. So you know, I do want to feel like we're not have to worry about a space every year and shoot for the 775 students that we want to have by 2027. So I think spreading the word about Goethe, especially in my community, especially anywhere I go to, I think it's the word of mouth. It's about the repetition that currently it has, social media, local events, even like I keep thinking about the international flair and how it's open to the community. Like, how can I continue to recruit for Goethe so that we can continue be successful in finance? So, and then for finances, like fundraising, I think it's key. Fundraising is key for our charter school because it's not private and also it's not public. So I think we need to rely heavily on fundraising and creating an annual strategy for fundraising for the next at least 5 years. So that's kind of like what my suggestion, starting with like those simple surveys. How do parents want to be involved in the fundraising portions, or we need to be able to speak to those audience. So I feel like part of that will be able to help us not only through the middle school, but build a long lasting through, you know, TK through the 12th grade. So did I, okay.
Okay, Denise, your turn.
Yeah, that's a hard one to get into 3 minutes. So I'm going to try it, but I'm actually going to answer both parts together because for me, they go together. The charter, yes, I've read the charter. I've also read the material revision, and I've been actively involved in talks about the charter renewal. The strategic plan is quite a few years old, and it's still relevant in some ways, but it also is missing some very specific actionable steps. So I think we can look at it, not new, but it's like we're just starting with this strategic plan. Both parts, the charter and the strategic plan, are heavily relying on defining our program. I think that's the first step. Every the charter renewal and the new strategic plan start for me with defining our program, and it's changed over the years. We started out as having our focus on the language program with the nice add-on of an IB, and the social and emotional learning comes as a component with it. And over the years, it's shifted to the IB being really the biggest leg we stand on, and the language still being our roots and still a strong part of it, but taking a little bit of the back to the IB program. So these are the three pillars that I see, right? The IB, the language program, and the social emotional learning. And I feel this is where we need to start. We need to focus on how we define our language program. It's changed over the years, and I feel we're missing a big opportunity with the German community because a lot of because we miss to define it. It's changed, and we're realizing that it's changing, but our German parents are not the ones running out there saying you need to send your kids to Goethe. So there's still an untapped potential in the German community, and we need to reconnect those ties. I know there might be more money in other language programs, and it might be easier to implement the immersion programs in Spanish. But German is what makes us unique, besides the IB, because I always say I came for the language, I'm staying for the IB. This is what I'm really a big fan of. But the IB is our biggest strength and our biggest weakness at the same point, because it's so hard to grasp for most people. And at the same time, it's even harder to explain to others. So like Christine said, word of mouth is our biggest marketing, our strongest marketing. And our parents struggle to explain what our strengths are. So we need to really ask really, really heavy questions going into the charter renewal is where do we want to be? Do we want to add, do we already want to do a big step and add a high school to our charter renewal? Do we want to add it to our existing school or renew our existing school and then focus on the high school later? Do we want to grow organically, or do we want to do that jump and work proactively towards building capital to find our own facilities?
Thank you. All right, last question. How do you think the financial stability and budget of our school can be ensured? And this is for Denise.
So this goes back to where I just ended, so it goes seamlessly into it. I think it starts with making the decision how much risk we are willing to take, right? We all know we want to grow our program. I know the board made it very clear that we are looking at adding on a high school, growing enrollment. We want our own facilities because the co-location and the Prop 39 and the challenges that come with it are really our biggest limitations. We've seen it this year with over 400 applications. The demand is there, and our school, people are looking at our school. So how do we accommodate all that? And when we look at the finances, we have to look at our current funding situation, right? We are, as a charter school, we receive less funds than a public school, LUC public school. And so there's a gap in funding. How do we fill that gap? We do fundraising, but our fundraising has really only focused on our community, on our parents so far, and some grants, some one-time funds. But what we do currently really just pays for our existing programs and a little bit of a safety cushion on the side. So if we want to grow and not just keep that status quo, we need to focus beyond fundraising in our community. We need to, our community outreach needs to go outside of our school community. If you ever want to build the capital to have your own facility, purchase your own facility, lease your own facility, develop your own facility, wherever we want to go, we need to spread the word, because build a donor base. If we don't start building a donor base, to find major donors, they want to know who we are. They want to have heard of us, and they also want to know that we have an attainable goal. So to go out there and say, maybe in 10 years, if we have enough money, we want to buy our own facility, is not going to do the trick. So we have to do the legwork beforehand. This year we're spending a lot of money, and I know it's all in the process of scaling for growth and, in progress. But at the same time, we have to really balance out caution and calculated risk. And if anything, this year has shown that it's good to have a cushion to fall back on. We just had to dip into and some of our one-time funds that we could have used for another 2 years. And these years are necessary. Sometimes change brings that with it. But yeah, it definitely shows that we need to have, going into next year, need to have a clear fundraising plan.
Okay, thank you. Christine, would you like me to read the question?
No, I'm gonna build on. Thank you. I will build on what Denise like raised like a very important point about like financial stability and like I do agree like that balanced budget is key. And I want our school to stay financially strong so our kids like can continue to grow like through like this amazing IB program and like the German program and the second language. And I think our school, I've heard this phrase and I want to use it, is a unicorn. So I do want to keep our budget solid. Again, I'm going to go back to the same point is how are we going to continue to recruit students and how many parents actually know that if we do hit the target by 2027 of having 775 students, that actually is going to bring us more funding. And if we do have the demand right now, what can we do and to continue to enhance the program that we currently have or find a space that we can call actually home. I would also bring back the same point that I had shared earlier is we need a selling point, not a selling point, but we need a safer point to say like, hey, we have it on premises, a nurse. It's literally a must. And I think it's just like instead of like considering like paying for the nurse, like could we find grants or team with a local health clinic? So we're not just asking parents for money specifically for that, but I would also continue to provide like a clear budget updates at parent meetings so they know like if they are investing, if they are fundraising, if they are providing, like how is that reshaping or shaping our school? And getting permanent, space, it's what's really goal. It's literally like the goal, or of the light at the end of the tunnel, in my opinion. And how are we gonna save money for things, that we want to invest in and having a clear strategy on like prioritizing what's the most important going into fiscal year or new year 2026 is just it's definitely important that the parents know if they're going to provide the money, where is it going towards? And they need to see the return in investment. And when parents see that their money is going towards a good cause, they're going to continue to, you know, uh, donate, whether their time or their money. And having a strategy on how we're going to enhance the fundraising for the next year is at this point is should be the focus. And we do have a lot of opportunities where we can drive different events and have sponsors that will be able to bring us the fundraising that we're looking for to give us the financial that we also want to bank for the future.
Okay, thank you for that. And that was the last question. I do want to acknowledge both Christine and Denise. It's not easy to come on and answer these questions in front of an audience. It can be nerve-wracking. You both did wonderful. I think we have two really great candidates. And thank you to all the parents and family and some staff that are on here tonight, taking your time to be here to listen to our really great candidates and demonstrating that you want to be involved and you want to have the best candidate possible for this new board position. Just to recap, it is a board position as a parent rep that is a 2-year term, and it would be starting this July and then going into 2 years successfully after that. So, Biggie, do you have anything else to add?
This has been recorded. We will share the recording and again the resume and candidate statements again tomorrow with the whole community. And then, if I'm not mistaken, I think on Saturday, the 24th, the voting starts. We're voting digitally like we've done it the last few years. And the votes have to be cast until or by Friday, the 30th at noon. And we will count or evaluate the votes and communicate the result Friday afternoon. That's about it. The voting ballots will be sent electronically to all families.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining. Thank you so much to our candidates. You guys both did great. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Have a good night.